Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I am a reporter at CBN News. We actually have a bureau there in DC, but that's not where I'm based. I am thinking about making a move. We are a national network. I've been with CBN for about 10 years. I started as a producer and worked my way into becoming a reporter. And so I really haven't put together a reel in a while. And I'm wanting to jump into either another national network or a top 10 market station. And so I guess what I'm asking is, what are top 10 market stations looking for in a reel? What is attractive to you?
Okay, so this is the tricky part, because everyone you talk to will give you a different answer.
I'm compiling all of them.
Right. What I'm looking for is, I'm looking for the person. I'm looking for the person who can join our team and add value to what we do. I'm looking for someone who understands what's going on in the world, someone who understands the community, somebody who's curious about the community, someone who reads, someone who writes, someone who understands audiences and how to give people things differently on different platforms depending on where they are. People who are flexible, willing to grow. Okay, so all of these attributes, you're wondering, well, how do I demonstrate that on a reel? Because a lot of us get trapped into the notion that we have to have this perfect reel with these perfect stories. And that's where I kind of feel like I kind of diverge from the rest of the pack sometimes, because I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking to see through the reel to see who the person is. I'll tell you a true story. I had a young man in here today I was interviewing. He sent me a bunch of reels showing how well he did what he did. I ended up searching through YouTube and found him giving a speech to his high school alma mater. And I watched more of that speech than I did any of his work, because I was able to figure out who this guy was, how he thought. He was talking about his career and things that he'd done. And it was more insightful to me to learn through him giving that speech that was on YouTube. And he didn't even know. I sent him the link back. I said, I learned more about you with this than I did from your reel. And he was surprised because he said he didn't even realize the speech was out there. So lesson one, Google yourself, see what's out there. But the whole point was, I'm looking beyond a perfect reel. Like I mentioned before, our shop and our company, Tegna, we are looking for innovation. We are looking for creativity. We are looking to do things differently. We're looking to serve our audience in a better way. And so because of that, we've got to have people who are smart. We've got to have smart people. We're not looking for robots. We're not looking for cookie cutter reporters. We're looking for people who have interesting lives, an interesting take on the world, and we've been around the block a time or two, and we've seen some things and lived in some places. All of those qualities can help you get to the front of the line. And then at the end of the day, it's going to come down to fit. So my approach is never about, it's really about being who you are and knowing that not everybody's going to look at that and accept that. But you're going to be better off because eventually you're going to find an opportunity that matches who you are and what you're able to do. You're going to find an environment that's going to be perfect for where you are in your career, and it's going to help you grow. And so for me, it's about that, really taking an inventory on who am I, what are my skills, where do I want to grow, and being true to that. As far as the real, maybe there are ways that you can show how you think on your feet in this live situation, in which I didn't have time to really prepare. I had to think on my feet. Here's a story that required me to spend a lot of background to get the interview. And so not all of this is about just having 3 live shots, a package, and then an anchoring montage. I'm just so over that. And again, I've been looking at tapes for a long time, and so my opinion is absolutely going to be different than someone else. But when I click the reel, I can tell within 10 seconds whether or not I'm interested. I watched one today in which it was a person standing outside of a house fire. And I'm thinking, that just doesn't do it for me. They might be thinking this was my best live shot. And I'm thinking, I want to know who you are. I want to know how you think. And reading scripts and just kind of going through the motions is certainly not where we're going as an industry. And so we got to have some people who have the skill sets who can do that, think on their feet, and handle a curveball from time to time.
Thank you.
Carlton, I want to chime in there because authenticity is something that we really preach in our programs. I think it's something that a lot of reporters in my generation, we didn't have that option. We had to wear certain suits. We had to have certain hairstyles. We had to sound a certain way. Now, all of a sudden, with companies like Tegna and others that are sort of coming on board, and we've had a lot of conversations with folks at Tegna too, it's really about that authenticity. And I, myself and Bram and everybody, we're really big, strong proponents of that. Like the first, my question to you, or my statement and then question is, we put people through this authenticity training. Kind of their first thing they do is sit with the coach and say, "Who are you?" Excuse me, she's in the background.
Just don't do that thing where you like grab her and throw her out.
Yeah, no. I'm just being like parent of the year and giving her the iPad and it's broken and so we've got a problem. Okay, just hold on. And so, sometimes folks will be like, well, why am I doing this? Why am I it feels like, this feels like a life coaching session. And it's because we want people to understand, everybody wants to chase the lead story or the breaking news story, but maybe not every reporter is supposed to do that. That's my point, right? Not everybody is supposed to be that hard news reporter.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
So I don't know if that was a launching point.
No, I can pick it up from there. So
thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of every time we're sitting down having a conversation, I really have interviews. I spent maybe about 2 hours with a candidate this morning, and it really wasn't an interview. We were having a conversation, and we were talking about all kinds of things, and a lot of it had nothing to do with the business. Because at the end of the day, I wanted to know, who is this guy that I'm talking to, and what is he about, and how will he handle adversity? And I will tell you, one of my favorite interview questions is, tell me about a time when you failed. Tell me about a time when you screwed up. And I'm here to tell you that I ask that question all the time, and there have been a couple of times people really struggle to answer that question. And you would think, why are you having a difficult time telling me about when you failed? And it's because they don't want to reveal that they're not perfect, and I'm sitting back thinking, I don't want to hire somebody who thinks they're perfect. I want to hire somebody who's flawed and real and authentic, as Stephanie said. Those are the people that we're looking for, because what happens is I'll say, tell me about a time you screwed up, and someone will go. Usually they'll start on they'll repeat the question, which is like a stall tactic. A time that I screwed up, and then they'll stall for more time, and they'll say, you mean like in my personal life or in my professional life? And they're just their wheels are spinning. And I'll usually shrug and I'll say, I don't care what your story is, just tell me about a time when you screwed up. And then the smart ones will go, okay, 3 weeks ago I was doing this, and this happened, and then I got back to the station, and this happened, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then the really smart ones will go, so basically what I learned from that was, never do this, and when you're doing this, don't do that. And they go instantly from here's the mistake I made to here's the lesson I learned, and here's how I'm moving forward. And that tells me how they think. A couple of times I had some people that said, gosh, I can't remember a time where I messed up. So I'll go, okay, well, let me tell you about one of mine. and I will launch into a story about something that I messed up today. Okay.
Yeah.
To break the ice and let them know I'm really not looking for you to tell me how perfect you are. And then, yet after my own story, they'd struggle. They'd say, gosh, I just can't come up with it. And that tells me something. That tells me that their ability to grow, their self-awareness is probably not there yet. To go, gosh, we all make mistakes. One of my big revelations as a young reporter was when I was watching a guy that I idolized make a mistake on the air. And then he just corrected himself and he kept going. And I thought, oh, gosh, I've been putting all this pressure on myself to be perfect. And I thought, well, that was pretty natural. And the viewers didn't burn down the station. They didn't call in and they didn't send emails because we didn't have emails then. But he was a real human being who stumbled and then corrected himself and kept going. And people appreciate that. People actually are looking for that in this day and age. And so we're looking for that. We're looking for real, authentic people who can handle themselves on their feet and learn and grow and say, I screwed up. I screwed up the first story I turned. I had a factual error. My first real job in my first real station, I had a factual error. I can describe the whole scenario to you like it happened yesterday because I learned from it and I didn't repeat the mistake.
Any other questions? We like to try to, respect the time of the folks who are hosting this. And in Carlton's case, thank you for taking time out during sweeps. We really appreciate it.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
My name is Valerie, and I'm a reporter at MJ and producer at the ABC station in Crane, Nebraska. And having that dual role, I really enjoy producing. I produce on the weekends, and then I report 3 times out of the week. So I love having that balance of 3 days I get to do, go and report and tell my stories, and then on the weekend I can tell the story in a different manner by producing the show and being, the own boss of the show and really putting what I want the viewers to know. Moving on forward, I'm looking for in the next year or so. I've been in my job for about 6 months now, and I'm looking by the 1.5 year mark to start looking for somewhere else for my next market move. And I don't know what you think, but do you think having that producer experience, dual role, will be a benefit, or sometimes do you think that maybe it'll look a little bit not as great because I don't have as much reporting, because I've been splitting my time with reporting and producing?
So some of the best reporters out there come from a wide variety of backgrounds, and it's not always a traditional reporter background. The best reporters are just good communicators. They understand the structure of a story. They're curious. They ask really good questions because they're genuinely interested in the things that they're talking about. And so I think it's great that you're gaining this background, this multi-skilled background of being able to produce and then go out and tell a story, because now you understand how everything works. What I used to do was I was fascinated, even when I started reporting in college, I was fascinated about the process, about how the thing got on air. And so I'd spend a lot of time in the control room to understand how it all connected. I didn't realize what I was doing back then, but now as I look back, I see, okay, I was trying to connect the dots. And a good friend of mine once told me, I was a reporter, and she said, I think you're a producer trapped in a reporter's body. And what she was talking about was my ability to see the producing side of it, showcasing a story, presenting it within a newscast, and going out and also telling the story.